All right. Hello, my name is Aaron Dunn, and this is the Done on Purpose podcast. If this is your first time listening to me in this kind of solo episode format, then welcome. I appreciate your listening ear, your watching eye, your grace, your mercy, and your share, your follow, your subscribe, however you want to do it. I'm excited to be back in the podcast seat. It has been a little over 2 months. You may not know, you may know, depending on how long you have known me. Maybe you just tripped over this today, who knows? But for a number of years, I've been involved with a podcast of some sort. If it's me being a guest on one, like way back in the day, the Be Less Typical in Car Sales podcast, or fast forward to just a few months ago when I was co-hosting the Trucking for Millennials podcast, which I co-hosted with Michael Clemens Jr. and the PDQ America team for over 5 years. Helped bring that launch to life, market it, everything. Made so many connections throughout the logistics industry as I was working in that industry for the past 5 years. And now fast forward to today, 2 months removed from that, it is now November 1st, day one today in 2024. I am back in this podcast seat and recording for the Done on Purpose podcast, my own podcast. You may notice that I haven't actually recorded an episode for Done on Purpose in quite some time. I was, when you're putting out an episode a week, it's not a small task to do, and so I've made some career changes here recently that have allowed me to create more time freedom and get me back into the seat of my own podcast, which I'm super excited about. And today I'm going to talk about the purpose of podcasting. It's a subject that I am really passionate about, each purpose and podcast. Partly the reason why I named this podcast Done on Purpose is because, one, it gives me a general creative freedom to nest whatever kind of episode I want in there because I'm doing it for a reason. Aaron Dunn is doing it for a reason, thus Done on Purpose. Also, it is something that I think about quite a bit. Why do we do the things that we do? Why do we say the things that we say? Why do we live the way we live, choose the friends that we have, watch what we want, watch what we decide to watch, participate in what we decide to participate in, start the companies, market the companies, sell the things that we sell? Why do we do these things? It's just a great question to ask. And I can tend to be a bit of a deep thinker. I like to read. I like to think about these type of things. And so I wanted to construct the podcast of mine to be kind of around those things and give me the freedom to explore my own curiosity and also have a reason to reach out to people that I admire greatly. Anybody that's on my show, if you look back through, some of the interviews and things, I admire them in some sort of way. I want to hear what they have to say. I'm eager to listen to what value they could bring to the table because they brought value into my life, even if it's a very small bit of value of like, man, I'm glad that person exists. I know that they exist and they did this one thing. I might not know everything about them, but I can learn something from them and figure out how to flip it and apply it into my own life so I can grow. Today, talking about the purpose of podcasting, I'm hoping that I can hit a target around, the reason why I have my podcast, which I kind of already articulated, and then why it's good to have a podcast, period, no matter who you are or what you do. I think anybody could have a podcast today. There's plenty of podcasts out there, but I think also a lot of times people might shy away from the microphone, so to speak, even as a guest, because they're not quite sure that it's really worth anything at all. Might not be worth the time, might not be worth the risk, might be a little bit of a scary experience. But I'm here to encourage you, enrich, and empower you today. That is another purpose of this podcast, to encourage, enrich, and empower other people. It's one of my deep purposes. That you can do a podcast, you can succeed with a podcast, and it opens up so many doors. And so let's just kind of get started. I had a couple quotes and a couple notes, and otherwise I'm really just freewheeling it today on this episode to get back into the podcasting game. And so the first quote is from Steve Jobs, and it says, a purpose, Steve Jobs, it says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust the dots will somehow connect in your future. And I'm reading that quote because it stands out to me. I ran by it not too long ago. It just came up because of Steve Jobs' birthday or death day, one of the two. And I relate to it quite greatly because, with podcasting, I thought it was fun. It's a medium that I understood because I've recorded audio for a really long time, even when I was in high school. When I was 16, 17 in my basement, I was experienced with recording audio and taking, what my thoughts were and putting them into recordings. And I've taken that skill in the future, and, podcasting is becoming an entire industry. And my experience with that those dots have connected. As I look back, I'm like, oh, well, this all makes sense. And, over time, as my experience has grown and I've grown and matured, and the podcast space has grown and matured, and businesses have grown and matured, and, all these things have evolved, I've realized that, wow, this stuff does make sense. And it makes sense when I look back, and in the future, it could continue to make sense. But at the same time, maybe not. It's just fun to think about, where podcasting has taken me and where it could potentially take me even further, not only personally, but also professionally and financially. I mean, I was hired on the basis of I knew how to record and edit and promote a podcast in my last job. And although it's not really the number one on my job description these days, which it's not really on my job description at all, it is something that I can continue to do. And that kind of segues into the second reason why I'm doing this podcast now. So the why behind it, the purpose. And so purpose of podcasting now that I'm with Project One Roofing as a project manager, my sales and marketing skills and my experience with, my joy that I get from connecting with the local community all led me to roofing. My wife and the success that she's had in the last year has also been an influence on that. An excellent team and core individuals and strong leadership has also motivated me to get with Project One, but also the time freedom that this position affords me. It allows me to serve the community in a way that only I know how, in terms of the skill set that I have. And so that's what's super exciting too. The purpose of this podcast at this point in my professional career is that it aligns so well with what I have grown to understand is my skill set and what I enjoy doing as I look back and connect those dots. I really love learning about other people. I really love encouraging small business, supporting small business with my money, the way that I spend my money and spend my time. I love the smaller communities around East Texas and the special nature of them. They don't get a lot of fanfare, but they are super awesome places to live, work, and play for the most part. And so as I inventory all that, inventory my skills in recording audio and my comfortability with speaking with people, all these things within my career and then my passion for podcasting all kind of start to connect. And so it makes real obvious sense to me. And so when it comes to the purpose of this podcast going forward, a lot of it will stay the same. I still frame the conversations around the foundation of the 3 C's: communication, community building, and how those two things build stronger company, whether this company you're building like a business or the company that you keep. I'm going to be looking out for people who have strong communication skills, community building skills, and building strong businesses that have a good heart and values. And so that's always going to be part of this podcast. But also what I want to do is be more intentional on purpose about highlighting people and businesses that I connect with, that I really believe in, projects that are up ahead that I believe should have a little more exposure and people should be aware of. I'm looking forward to encouraging people and showing people the opportunities that do exist in East Texas and maybe beyond. I might stretch my borders a bit further than this area, but I'm really excited about connecting with local leadership, because I believe local leaders can change the world, and it doesn't have to be a positional title for leadership to take place and make a great beneficial influence on a local community. You can make an impact even as a small fry, or somebody who doesn't have a large following, or a lot of money, or big in terms of employee count or something like that. A local leader, somebody who believes a thing strongly and can really move the needle in a big way. And I'm excited to empower that local leadership that I see, with heart, with courage, with wisdom, with love. That type of leader, I'd love to showcase and create a platform for those things to exist, and not only exist but multiply, so that we're all better for it. I believe that podcasting is a very unique platform that allows an individual to showcase who they are, what they do, why they do it, and do it in a way that it's really easy for somebody else to listen to or watch and pay attention to. And it can really be a great relationship builder that is not only active but passive. And when you can give somebody that, when I can serve the community in that way and give somebody that type of opportunity, that makes me feel good. I think the community gets better as a result. And of course, I have a lot of fun at the same time, because I get to meet someone and relate to other people and do what I love to do. And so, again, this whole podcast is kind of up in the air and everywhere, but we're just getting back into the swing of things. So talking about purpose, that's something that I'm going to be talking about more. So I wanted to provide a definition. It's really, really simple. At the end of the day, purpose is defined as the reason for which something is done or created, for which something exists. And, it's something of a, common deal in personal development that, you want to find your why, you want to find your purpose, you want to find your reason for being. And I take great piece in this quote from Tom Rath. He's a Stanford professor and a leading researcher on morality and child development, and he talks about purpose in this way in his book, The Path to Purpose. A purpose is an ultimate concern. It is the final answer to the question, why are you doing this? Why is it important? A purpose is a deeper reason for the immediate goals and motives that drives most daily behavior. A person can change purposes or add new ones over the years, but it is in the nature of purposes to endure at least long enough that a serious commitment is made and some progress toward that aim is achieved. A purpose can organize an entire life, imparting not only meaning but also inspiration and motivation for ongoing learning and achievement. So, a purpose, if you feel like you haven't found your purpose, or you feel like you found it and it's changing, that's okay. You can have more than one, says Tom Rath, and they can change and evolve. But the thing that is most fundamental and common about it is that it has to have a serious commitment. A serious commitment is made and some progress toward that aim is achieved. And so this enduring commitment, that is the question of the episode today. What is your enduring commitment? Mine, here are a few of mine. I'm committed to a life of growth with my wife and the people that we get to meet. That's one. I'm committed to the following values: dedication, relationships, integrity, volition, and enthusiasm. That's a power acronym, what I call a power acronym for drive that was a commitment I made a long time ago when I first got into sales and working with people in the way that I work with people now. I'm committed to encourage, enrich, and empower others. You heard me say that earlier. You've probably heard me say it on multiple podcasts if you followed me at all. My purpose is to communicate, to build community, to build company with the skills that I've been nurturing and blessed to have, the attributes that I'm blessed to have. So like, those are some of the purpose. The purpose of this podcast is to, I'm kind of going off the beaten path here. I've elucidated that. I've articulated that earlier in the episode. But my purpose is really to uplift people that I are inspired by, that I believe people can learn and grow from, or by standing beside, by working beside, by by listening to, essentially. Somebody can be inspired or motivated by anybody that is a guest on this show, and hopefully, this podcast serves its purpose well, in that it facilitates community growth, personal and professional growth, and people are encouraged by it. And so, it comes back to that question again: what is the enduring commitment that you are making, and then how are you making it? How are you communicating it? How are you getting involved in your community? How are you making it evident to the people that you are closest with? Either that's your household or in your workplace. That's the question that I kind of want to leave on the table today. What are you committed to, and how is that made evident? That's podcasting on purpose. I'm really excited. If you have a desire to be on the show, you think you would vibe with the tribe that we've got at the Done on Purpose podcast, then let me know, and I'd be happy to chat with you. See you next time.